Tell me when you're recording. Yeah.
Yeah, dog.
1,
Mm-hmm.
2, 3.
Somebody went
Try
hard.
again.
Yes.
That one sounded good, but some of you went fucking. But yeah. All right, let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Was it you, Muzzy, or you just
No, it wasn't me.
really into that? That was crap.
It clicked that the noise that I heard was just so fucking loud. And I was like,
I think you're in that state where you've been up for like 25 hours.
Delirium is
he's
setting in.
I'm just funny. Leave me alone.
No, maybe I was just cracking jokes, cracking wise. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jump Up Supercast, the only podcast on the internet to be able to be suspended and resumed and multiple. I don't fucking know. When we start.
Just really need a little nap.
It's okay. All right. It's going to be a weird podcast.
He's losing his shit.
It's going to be a weird podcast.
okay, go. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I don't have an intro, so it's fine.
I am not going to keep that in. Don't make me keep this in.
I mean,
Oh, man.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jump Up Supercast, the only podcast on the internet to be able to quick resumed, even while playing another game. I'm willing to join me this week, Brandon.
I was playing Hannah Montana the movie.
Ills.
I can't believe Muzzy beat Mario 64.
Saf.
I can't wait for Final Fantasy 16.
And Muzamil.
I even did it entirely on stream.
There was so many different ways that was going, the whole intro. Well, hello and welcome to Loopy Jump Up Supercast. Everyone is on drugs. We're not. That's illegal. Don't do it, kids.
That's just every episode.
That's just every episode of the Jump Up Supercast. Yeah, this week, we're going to keep talking about video games. You can't stop us. Many people have tried, but they've not yet succeeded.
Name one person who's tried to stop.
Donald Trump.
There we go.
What's the name of the... Jack Thompson.
Oh
Jack Thompson. We're bringing him back.
All of the above?
All of the above. The Pope.
True.
And more. But this week we're going to talk about NPDs because sometimes you get Muzam a little NPD as a treat. We're going to talk about PS5 UI. We're going to talk about various bobs and baps that have been announced for next gen and everything else. But let's just go straight into the NPD stuff because it's been a while. We've not checked in on NPDs. Have we talked about NPDs specifically this year at all?
We probably did, but it's been
Definitely.
a couple months. We skipped some months, and there were some interesting months, I'll have you know. But
Oh, boy.
Has there ever been an uninteresting month, Muzam?
I think this year in particular has been wild. We're in the midst of a pandemic.
No way.
And,
Really?
And people's finances are all over the place, but video games are having a great year. Maybe because it's the only medium we can enjoy right now.
Uh-huh.
Right? But video games are having a great year, and I think that's noteworthy in of itself.
Yeah. All right. I think that's true. But I think that in order to engage our friends, Brandon, Ill, Saf, right? Muzamil has this entire top 20 memorized.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh no.
But I will give you, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games that were new releases in September that made it onto the NPD. All right. I want you to guess the order. All right. So I'm going to give them to you right now. I should have done this alphabetically. I'm going to try to do it alphabetically.
Oh, boy.
All right. First up, we have Crusader Kings 3. Then we have
4.
4. Okay.
Wait, we doing this already? I thought we were just waiting.
Well, no, I think you should probably wait for all of them just in
I'm
case.
just jumping in. Come on, you're slow on the uptake, Saf.
Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time.
3.
Marvel's Avengers, yes.
15 or 7, I don't know.
NBA 2K21.
1.
Star Wars Squadrons.
10.
3?
Super Mario 3D All Stars,
1.
Number 1.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 plus 2.
Number
2.
2.
So I can't keep track of any of that.
So try to order that. Now you know all of them.
Now you know all of them, all right? So what do you think's number 1? What do you think of all those? Which one sticks out of your brain? This is number 1.
Super Mario All-Stars.
Super Mario.
Now I should give you some caveats, but
Yes, things to factor in. Nintendo games, no digital.
also
2K,
no longer
no
is
digital. Which specifically affects NBA 2K21.
Yerp.
So, knowing those, do you still stick with 3D All Stars number 1?
Number 1, baby.
No.
What do you think is number 1, Brandon?
2K.
Okay. What do you think? Okay, so what do you think is number 2 then?
Mario.
Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk.
What do you think is number 3 for the new releases?
Tony Hawk.
2K.
NBA.
What do you think is number 4?
Crusader Kings.
Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, yeah. Crash Bandicoot.
Okay, what do you think is number 5?
Crusader Kings. Probably not, but you know, whatever.
Don't
Crash
remember the
Bandicoot.
rest.
You
Okay,
still
number
have
6.
Avengers
I think number
and
4
Star
would
Wars
be-
Squadrons.
Oh,
Yeah, so
Number
Avengers
4
and
would be
Star
Wars.
Number
Fuck,
5
alright.
would be...
We're gonna have to go back to working on Avengers.
All right, whatever Crusader Kings was, we're changing that for Star Wars.
Okay.
Fuck.
And then Crusader
Fuck
Kings,
yeah.
and then Marvel's Avengers.
I think I might put Marvel at number 4, and then put the fuck's that other one you fucking said?
People
Star
have been
Wars.
talking about
Star Wars
shit about
Squadrons.
Marvel Avengers, though.
Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put Marvel
No, I think
below
Crash
Star Wars.
outsold Star Wars. I'm gonna say
Okay.
that, and then Star Wars after that.
Okay. Do you think? Does everyone think Crusader Kings is last?
Yes.
No, I said Avengers is last. I don't care.
Okay, Avengers is last.
Avengers is last.
Disagree.
Okay. Well, Avengers was number 1 for the month of September.
Hell yeah, boy. We did it.
Number
You doubted us
one.
the entire time, but I was
Number
completely
1.
wrong.
Alright.
Number 2, Super Mario 3D All Stars. But we know because of people leaking that 3D All Stars, if you count digital, is number 1 by a wide margin. Number 3,
Me and Saf are secretly right.
yeah, if you were mostly right except for just Avengers was the big off. 3 was Tony Hawk.
Yes.
Well, 4 for the month. The 3 in that order. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, 3 in that order, right? 5 for the month, 4 in that order. NBA 2K21.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Then 7 for the month, 5th in that of the new games, Crusader Kings 3,
I was wrong.
which is kind of very impressive.
Yeah.
9, Star Wars Squadrons was 6 for the month. And then 11 for the month, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, came in dead last.
Wow, that's sad.
Wow,
Sad.
people hate Crash Bandicoot.
Wait,
Crash?
is that a bad way of viewing it? It's like, how well did it
Yeah.
actually do?
Well,
It's
do
underperforming Insane Trilogy.
Think, yeah,
Oh,
I
man.
think Crash 4 is underperforming. I think there's no denying that. And I think you could argue for a lot of reasons, right? I think that, did the value proposition of the trilogy kind of throw this one off, right? That was 3 games for $40. This is 1 game for 60, right?
I think it should have been a launch title for next gen or something.
Yeah, the other thing is it just a victim of being a late gen PS4 game, right? I think that's possible as well, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of reasons that maybe why this flopped, or at least underperformed, right? And it's worth noting, it's a family game. Crash Insane Trilogy had long legs. Maybe this one did too, right?
Correct me if I'm wrong as well.
And
Wasn't Crash like kind of poorly, like performance wise was quite poor, like it didn't have like good load times or anything like that?
on the base consoles it struggled, but I mean I very rarely attribute performance stuff to sales, right?
Yeah.
But I mean it's not on Switch, which I think is another thing, right? Like that's the platform for platformers, you know.
Wow, fancy wordplay.
I'm just being an asshole, so I'm just going to say this anyway because I don't actually think this. But you people out there always saying we want a sequel to our favorite childhood game. Well, fuck you, okay? Put your fucking money where your mouth is, all right? Go fucking buy this game.
I mean,
Shut the hell up.
I guess I can't complain because I haven't bought it yet.
That's true.
And I'm probably the biggest Crash fan on this podcast. I don't know. Like, I really wish it did better. I really do. You know, I hope that this is not the end for Crash. I hope that this is not like. I hope Activision doesn't take the gas off the pedal here, right? I think that they're doing good stuff lately with these old franchises, and I would hate to see.
And the fourth game looks genuinely really interesting. So
yeah, and that's the thing that kind of sucks too, right? It's like this game is reviewed really well. The word of mouth is super strong, right? It's just a lot of positivity around this game. But like, I don't know,
Game Club.
The performance just isn't there, or sales wise, and I don't know. It's a head scratcher.
Yeah, especially because like social media metrics are really good for it, right? So it's
I wonder if partially it's like it is a busy time. I think people to an extent are saving their money for next gen, right?
Yeah.
I mean the number one game, Avengers. I feel like it's also very likely that people knowing that there's a next gen version of Avengers that you get for free, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that certainly helps a little bit, right? And it just had a lot of competition this month too, right? Like a lot came out.
6 new games.
I mean, Tony Hawk, right? From Activision themselves.
Yeah.
A huge release. Clearly number 4 for the month. But
yeah.
It's good to see Tony Hawk doing well, though.
Yeah, I mean, they had the best, the highest launch month dollar sales of any Tony Hawk game ever, right? And part of that's because games are $60 now versus
Tony Hawk's $40 though.
Oh, then it doesn't even count.
That's because it's a remake, just like Crash. The remakes do good, but the new ones,
the new Tony Hawk is gonna be bad. Gonna sell bad.
Yeah.
It's also the highest rated game on Metacritic or some shit like that.
Pro Skater 2 is
Tony Hawk
high.
2, yeah.
Well, it's like tied with Ocarina.
Yeah.
I think 3D All Stars is fairly noteworthy here because it is the biggest physical launch of. The second biggest physical launch of the year, only behind another Nintendo game, Animal Crossing. Right. Certainly, I'm sure it did really great on the eShop as well. Though that placement doesn't even reflect that. Right. Already the 10th best-selling game of the year. Right. It's crazy.
From 2 weeks. Yeah.
I'm guessing they don't count sales for Hades because that's all digital, right?
Yes. Well, they do count digital, but it would be it's at 30, so it would have to sell double because it's by dollar amounts, right?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes. NPD goes by revenue, which makes Tony Hawk's performance even more impressive, right? $40.
Yeah.
So I think Mario 3D All Stars is clearly just a smash hit success, right? People ask, "What's the big holiday game? What's the big holiday game?" It's 3D All Stars.
Yeah, it's. You can have qualms about hoping that they had done taking more effort, right? But for most people, the idea of having 3 Marios is a lot. Like that sort of. And for some people, the idea of like not having Mario 64 be changed is like the thing they want, right? Like you want the childhood thing.
I do want to throw a little water on Avengers, though. Yes, it's number 1 for the month, right?
Mm-hmm.
But NBA almost certainly did better than it. Mario 3D also almost did better than it, right? But we know for a fact, in Europe, Avengers is selling about what Shadow of the Tomb Raider did. And I'm going to guess Square Enix did not make the decision to move them off original IP to work on licensed IP to do about what the same as they were doing before.
Sure. I mean, for context, like I guess NPDs said that it had the second highest opening of any superhero game in the US, right? Now that's because only behind Spider-Man.
Yeah. And
your first thought is Batman, but Batman never really released in the holiday most of the time, right? I think only Arkham City did, right? So a little bit of a different apples to oranges, right?
Yeah.
But the legs on Avengers, I think, are going to be the thing that's interesting, right? Because it is so games as a service focus.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, we can be honest. Word of mouth for Avengers is
bad. I've heard the multiplayer sucks, but the single player is supposed to be
but that's the thing, though, right? This game will entirely live on its promise as a games as a service type game, right? And we know for a fact, we've seen the Steam charts, we've seen the play charts on Xbox. The player count on Avengers is dropping like crazy, right?
I mean, I don't doubt it. It's still a game that I want to check out, but solely for the single player.
Oh yeah. No, and I think that's totally fair, right? But I wonder if Square Enix looks at this and has to be reconsidering a little bit, right? Because I don't think, because also the content that they are making for games as a service is also going to be very expensive, right?
Yeah.
The game's development budget is not finished yet, right?
Yeah, I mean, they just today when we record this confirmed that they're having to delay the next gen version to 2021 for Avengers, and also are delaying pretty much the entire timeline they gave of content. They're delaying everything, basically, right?
Which for a game that's already kind of starved on content and is already dropping players, is a bad sign, right? It just is. Yeah. It's a bad sign, and so yeah, I don't know. I really don't know if Square Enix is looking at this as a success. You know, we'll see as it continues on. I think I think its legs is what's going to be the deciding factor here. But I really don't think it's looking too hot for Avengers.
You know, it is looking hot for though. Crusader Kings 3, which is 7's remarkably high for a Paradox game. They're very niche as a whole. Already in the first month of sales, it's become the best-selling Crusader Kings game that's ever come out. Right?
And it's also very well reviewed.
Yeah, super well regarded, right? And I think that also it's the highest of any game that Paradox has ever made. It's the best launch they've ever had, right? So
good for Paradox.
Yeah.
I think Crusader Kings 3 is one of those feel-good stories that we've had this year, right? Of just a smash hit success, blow out every expectation. And it was on Game Pass too, you know? So the fact that it was on Game Pass, but it still just sold so remarkably well, right?
Game Pass PC?
Yeah, Game Pass on PC, yeah.
It's not, I don't think it's on console at all.
No, it's PC exclusive. Yeah. But yeah, you know, and maybe that's because people don't care for Game Pass PC or whatever, but still, like, the fact that there was that option and people still bought this $60 release in droves. Impressive.
Yeah, I mean, worth mentioning too, Switch won the month from some stuff we've had from people that they can't officially say these things, but would know by a pretty wide margin in terms of hardware, right? It's the 22nd month in a row that Switch has won the hardware.
Oh, no, that's official. The 22nd month in a row, that's just straight up from the NPD itself.
No, that is official. Yeah, I should make clear, right? But it was not a close margin on this one, right? It
is the second best September in the history of sales in the United States.
Yeah, only behind Wii in 2008, right?
Yep.
So
very cool.
Yeah, that's you know, and people. Obviously Mario probably had a lot to do with that, right? But like, Switch is just on fire, right? I know we said it before, but I just think it's fascinating because, like, I think a lot of people like to pin it on, obviously because of COVID, but I don't know if it obviously propelling it into one of the best-selling consoles of all time, right? Like, the scale of the success of the Switch right now, especially going into its, what is this, the 4th year of the system, right?
Yeah.
Going into its 4th year, sales are only accelerating, and it still hasn't had a price cut, you know? And for all the talk of, like, there hasn't been many releases this year or whatever, the fact that the Switch is doing as much as it is I mean, it boggles the mind.
Step aside, hotcakes. We're all selling you.
We're doing it. Yeah, I mean, speaking of, before we go to the big holiday, where a bunch of this stuff will change, right? What do you think is the best-selling game of the year?
Animal
Starting
Crossing?
from September of last year to September this year.
Animal Crossing?
Number 3, actually.
Wow.
You're forgetting the God King.
Also, the
Grand
fact,
Theft Auto.
well,
also,
more importantly, you're forgetting the
Animal
fact
Crossing is
that
gotta be like some
does
sort
not
of
count
fucking-
digital sales.
Is it like some sort of like Madden or fucking FIFA game or whatever?
It should be so obvious.
What's the game that's been the best-selling game of the year every year, except for, like,
Bill's got it.
Kosh.
Modern Warfare.
I mean,
There it
I keep hoping for something interesting to happen, but no.
Nope.
No.
Well, yeah, because until you get to when COD doesn't launch, it's going to still be the biggest, right?
To be fair, this
but also,
would be the first year in history, if Nintendo actually reported their digital sales, this would be the first year since, like, COD 4, maybe, that Call of Duty would not be the best selling of the year.
it's a rare occurrence. And then, yeah, it's like Star Wars Fallen Order is still number 2, right? Because...
Interesting.
Yeah.
That did really well, continues to do really well. Used copies of that game still go for like $30, which, like, for a AAA game, like it's holding its value. You know,
it's a good game.
Yeah,
as I said last year at the
I
end of
hope
the year.
they upgrade it for next gen. This is my
You haven't played it yet.
Nope.
Speaking of next gen and enhancements, we got the list of all the games that are getting enhancements from Xbox, right? And it's most of the stuff that you would expect, obviously, but still cool, still neat, obviously. And they'll expand as it goes on from launch. But at the same time, we had a sudden shadow drop state of play, everybody. Boo, 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 boo. Not about video games, about the UI of the PlayStation 5.
What was that sound effect there?
That was the sound of like an air horn, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, okay.
The big news. So they showed off PlayStation 5 UI. Looks a lot like a PS4 UI. They're not reinventing the wheel, right? But they are going. There's hints of things that may be there that we'll get to. But the main thing they sort of focus on a lot is, hey, you basically the developers can go and mark a bunch of parts of the game, right? The way they show this is Sackboy's Big Adventure, and from the UI you can just press like different challenges that the developers have set up, and you immediately load into the game into that level, right? And you can just do it from there, which is a neat idea, right? And in the same way, and then the other thing they sort of showed off was a lot of snap stuff, right? Kind of what they showed off with Xbox One launch, right? But where, like, you know, you can bring up a video of someone beating the game in a little corner while you're playing the game, right? Or various other applications to see just how bad you are. I
think it's funny that the hints are locked behind PlayStation Plus.
Yes.
I'm not offended by it, I just think it's funny.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
You can't use those features unless you have PS Plus.
Yeah. So the specifically the feature of, like, you know, looking up like the not in-game, I guess, but the hint through the activities menu to see like it'll show you like the screenshot or a video or whatever. To get those hints, you have to be a active PlayStation Plus member.
That's so stupid. Is that like something people want to pay for? It doesn't seem.
Yeah,
like
I can't imagine. And I don't imagine it selling anyone, right? It's just a very weird thing. And then the other thing, they sort of, it's funny because they're like, look at how easy it is to, like, a friend invited me to play Destruction All-Stars, right? Let me show you how quick it is to swap over. But the problem is Destruction All-Stars, you have to go through all the menus, so they're like, they still sped up through all the menus.
Fast forwarded it, so like that's not at all like a representative of the user experience, right?
Why would they do that?
Like you can't be like, look at how fast it is as we do a 50 times fast forward. Like, no, you can't do that. Come on.
Really, that's just
that's
just cheating.
Yeah. So this was a 14-minute video, right? And that was sort of the thing that happened. It's funny, I think this is the first gameplay we've seen of Destruction All-Stars.
Gameplay, quote unquote, we saw.
Yeah. It was you standing around, like, doing, like, taunts with your buds and, like, a screenshot, right? Share feature. Like,
this is a $70 game. We don't know what it is. Whatever.
It's fun. I mean, it's funny because this is sort of, I think, they're not reinventing the wheel, as I said at the start of it, right? They're sort of just bringing in things that Xbox had, right? Because Xbox had a lot of the like achievement tracking stuff in the Xbox One UI. Yeah. They're sort of bringing it in and expanding upon it here, right?
I mean, I think activities does go a fair bit beyond that. Like, it's more than trophies too, right? Yeah. Like, it's like it goes down to like weird specifics, like, you know, you're in a level, and we're going to tell you the exact progress you're having this level or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. I do think it's going to be very developer specific, right?
Yeah,
like
that sounds like it.
Whoever wants to actually put in the time to support that feature, and so I'm sure first party games will support it great, right? But anyone else, Who knows, right? Maybe they do. I don't want to say they for sure won't, but
yeah, because it depends on how easy the implementation is, right? If it's sort of pretty automated, then I imagine it'll be used a lot, right?
I guess my thought is that, like, I mean, trophies are mandated, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even trophies and achievements, we've seen developers kind of phone in, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
And I do think that, like, I don't know if this is sparking something in developers like, oh yeah, I can't wait to support this, or maybe it is. I don't know. Again, who knows, right? But I think history tells us probably not, right?
Yeah. I do think it's funny that they give you estimated play times, so I can know if I suck more than the average person.
That's true.
I don't need how long to beat anymore.
I actually really like that feature. I do hope a lot of games support that, because I like to know how much time I have left. You know,
howlongtobeat.com.
Yeah, but then I have to do math and how much did I put, how far am I?
I mean, it's either they do like individual levels, right? Yeah. Like this level will be 10 minutes.
My other thing with activities, though, sorry. To me, I think this is just my ADHD brain speaking. It feels overwhelming. You know, I look at this like never-ending list without any rhyme or reason. It's just kind of like AI generated. Like, okay, this is what we think you should. This is what we think you want to be looking at right now, right? And so to me, it almost feels like I'm overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my god, there's so much to do. How do I even parse this list? You know, how do I? Is this another part of like being a completionist now? Is doing all the activities and
don't ever be a completionist.
Yeah, maybe not. But some people's brains, can't help it.
They like to do it. Yeah, I mean, because it's funny because some of this stuff about like the news and activities, right? If you just press down on the PlayStation UI right now, they have like news for your game, right, and stuff, right? But if you check a lot of those news, there has been like updates for years, right? For some of these games, like have been getting active updates, but the news doesn't show that, right?
Yeah.
So I think it'll be interesting to see how that stuff works, right? Because even like Switch has sort of has the news feed, right, of when you turn it on.
Yeah.
So, I think that the problem is everyone sort of has acknowledged, like, these are probably the things that, like, we've seen make an impact, and it's just how do you do a spin on essentially just giving little notifications, right, that are unique. Which, I think that they're giving it their best shot on this, and I think that looks fine, right? You will quickly become used to it, more than likely, right? The only UI that I've had, like, a big problem with long term is like the base Xbox One UI before they changed a lot of it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lot better now. Even recently, I mean,
just got Xbox... a big update, the Series X update. It just came out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's out there.
Yeah, even when I just got an Xbox One, which was like last year, I still felt like the UI was kind of shit, but now it's a bit better.
I think it's kind of
very much streamlined now.
Yeah. I think it's kind of funny, even down to the UI, kind of like talks to like the different things that these companies are going for, right? PS5, we're starting from fresh, right? Starting over. This is distinctly PS5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Xbox, so yeah, they're developing a new UI for the Series X, but then they backport it to the Xbox One as well, right?
Yeah.
They built and they use the Xbox One as a base, right? And they build towards that. To go more in this direction of like, look, we don't believe in generations, right? We're kind of shifting, we're kind of blurring the line, and so the fact that like if I update my One X today, and then next month I pick up Series X, it looks exactly the same, right? Almost like an iPhone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think that I just like it in the grand scheme of things, it's totally meaningless, right? But I think it's neat that like even something like this just kind of speaks to like the differing philosophies of these two companies, and I don't think one answer is necessarily right over the other, right? But they're going for different things, and I think that's cool.
Yeah, there's things I like. There's pros and cons to both, right? I think one thing that I kind of do like now that you've been talking about it is that like not having a big change is just easier to get used to. You're already used to something. You don't have to figure out, well, where are settings and this and that. It's like, oh, I already know because I basically already have it, you know? Like, same thing with your phone. When you get a phone and it's a new phone, but it's just on the same operating system, you know where everything is.
And also, at this point, I mean, there's not that much more innovation to be had, I don't think. I mean,
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
what else
I mean,
are you
I
gonna do?
think
Without
UI
fucking everything up.
Like UI features for the most part have kind of like I did think it was interesting that like they didn't show off the fact, and so we don't know if it's in or not. We know this is on the Xbox, but there's no indication at least that the PS5 can suspend and resume multiple games.
The only thing, and this is what I was alluding to earlier, is so when in the video when they have when at the very end when he goes back to the home menu and you see the Sackboy and Destruction All Stars icons, there's a little like clock like timer symbol next to them, right? And then when he goes to put it to sleep, it says we'll suspend all current games, plural.
See,
right?
but I re-looked at that footage, and I think specifically the wording on the rest mode just seems to be a grammar thing because everything else in that sentence is plural, which means you have to make games plural to make it
Sure.
right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, with the symbol, because it's, like, super small, like, who knows, right? I mean, multi-suspend, I think, is, it would be weird for it to not be there because they're so emphasizing, like, hey, pop back and forth all the time, right? Like, your friend's playing Lost Legacy, you put it up in the corner while you play Sackboy, and then both of you decide to do All-Stars, just go do that, right? Like, it is very sort of ADD, you know, the way they present it a little bit, right? But if you can't do that, but then, like, there just has to be the act of like, well, let me get to a save point, right? Like, that puts a huge stop in that process, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think
I'm still afraid of that, even if I wouldn't trust my console to not fuck up.
True.
Well, what's nice with like the Series consoles, right? The Series X and Series S is now, and I think this is legitimately such a cool feature, is the fact that you can put these games, multiple games, in you can suspend them, right? Resume them at any time. But now, if you turn off the power, like hard power off, maybe your power goes out, maybe the cable got unplugged, whatever. It stores that as a cache in the SSD, and so even from a hard reset, your suspend is still there, right?
Holy fuck, for real?
Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think that's a legitimately cool feature, and makes that feature more useful then too, right? Because then you feel more okay using it, right?
Holy shit! Yeah, definitely. Holy fuck, that's actually awesome. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and so I think this kind of goes for both consoles, where like the SSD in particular, just makes it so that these next gen systems they're just way more emphasizing like just popping in and popping out from game to game, right? Yeah. And everything is just faster. And I think the core point is you get to your game faster, right?
Yeah. Because this generation of consoles seemed like the slowest load times I've ever experienced.
Oh yeah,
like it's insane.
Really?
When booting up a game, sometimes you would be like sitting there for like fucking 5 minutes. You know?
I mean, the time I first noticed it really bad was GTA 5 on 360, right?
Yeah.
Because they load in the entire thing at once, and so it's a really long load time.
But GTA's always been like that.
Yeah, because they do one big load and nothing else, right?
I feel like the biggest loading times I've ever experienced was PS3. But I don't know, whatever.
Maybe I just think as games have gotten bigger and bigger, right? Like both the initial load time and the load in the games themselves have been just getting longer and longer. And I think part of it is they have to load in these bigger textures, right? And
yeah, it's understandable why it happens, but
that's why the jump to the SSD has been so necessary. And I think there's a reason why that is the defining feature of next gen, right? For both of these consoles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's just I think from a usability standpoint, the SSD it really because I think for me, like, my criticism from the PS3 to PS4 generation, it really did feel like PS3 but bigger, right? But I and that's fine to an extent, but I think that with these new gen consoles, they're just so they don't really care about like the outside features anymore, right? They're just going hard in on like, we want to smoothen the game playing experience, and that's
got Netflix.
You got Netflix. That's all you need, But like,
We're gonna be watching stuff. Yeah. So it is funny though, because you were saying like you can pop back and forth between all these games, and my brain did go to the 5 games you can store on those SSDs because they have to be so much smaller.
Yeah. I mean, but
that's you gotta give and you gotta take.
Downer Will shitting on new consoles.
Well, you know who else is being a big downer? Big Philly Spencer. If you like playing Bethesda games on your PlayStation consoles,
Oh my god.
He converted it.
let me tell you, Phil Spencer was in an interview today, and it was a very funny response because they're like, so like, what's going on with bringing your stuff to bring Bethesda games to other consoles? Like, is it, because someone asked, essentially the question was, is it possible to recoup a $7.5 billion investment if you don't sell Elder Scrolls 6 on PlayStation? And Phil goes, yes. And that was the sentence. And he goes, and he gave an actual answer, which is like, essentially a very nice marketing way of saying, we're putting it on so much stuff that like we own, we don't even need to put it on PlayStation, idiots.
Fuck PS5, boy.
We hate him. He called Jim Ryan a son of a bitch. He did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Harsh.
Yeah, but I think it's funny because there's been a lot of questions about, like Elder Scrolls 6, it's going to be a huge game. Is it going to be exclusive? And the answer is seemingly like yes, right?
I would not expect Bethesda games on PlayStation, just period. I think if you want to be the most optimistic, I would set your expectations to it'll come maybe 6 months later or a year later, right? But do not expect Starfield to be on PS5 day one. Do not expect Elder Scrolls 6 to be on PS5 day one, right?
Fallout 5.
Because Microsoft wants to, contrary to what a lot of people, and even Phil Spencer will say a lot, right?
Yeah,
they are in the business of selling you on the Xbox console itself, not just the ecosystem, right?
Well, no, but in his mind, the console base is a platform, right?
Yeah.
In that question, to sort of give more credit to him, he said like, we have xCloud, we have PC, we have our console, right? We have Game Pass. Like, there's plenty of ways if you really want to play these games, you can find a way, right? Which is maybe a little flippant, right? Because you're still not to have a PC that can run this, right? Or pay for xCloud. But like you were saying, right?
No, I mean, even the xCloud thing is like, I mean, if you subscribe to Game Pass, you have it, right?
Yeah.
And so that is to say, it totally is available. If you are so just absolutely like, I am never, ever getting an Xbox, you have options, right? Sure. But I think they do see console, like, when they say console, they mean Xbox, right?
Yeah.
They don't, like, maybe they'll port, maybe Switch will get some scraps, and maybe PS5 will start getting scraps too now, right? But I think their strategy is still, like, if you are in the market for a console, because I think Microsoft does see these things as separate, right? They see PC, console, mobile as 3 separate markets, right?
Yeah.
So if you are in the market for a console, we want you to buy an Xbox. They would not be selling the consoles if that wasn't the case. And they're going to leverage their studios for that. They're going to leverage their mountains of IP they have now, right? They're going to leverage everything they have to accomplish that goal. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's funny because I think Phil Spencer himself has sort of cultivated this sort of image of him, right? But sometimes I see like weird fanboys online be like, Phil's such a beta. He doesn't even care about succeeding, right? And it's like, they spent $7.5 billion. They're gonna want to make their money back, like
yeah.
That's it was silly sort of to ask that question in the first place, right? But it's only a result of sort of like they're trying to be so conciliatory, where it's like, no, like eventually you can't, right? Eventually you have to say, no, we're just gonna have an exclusive, right? Like we bought this.
It is kind of on them that people are still asking them that question.
Yeah.
If they just put their foot down and say, no, we will not release any of these games on other consoles. Because even in that, he was like, he kind of like tiptoed around it, even in that own response. So it's, it's kind of their own fault that the people are going to keep asking them until eventually.
I mean, I do think to an extent he should. I mean, I get not wanting to box yourself in, but I feel like he should. I feel like we should know what they plan on doing with Bethesda, right? Like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, it's a weird kind of leave the door open situation.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I don't know.
Like his last sentence, right, to speak to Brandon here is, I don't have to go ship those games on any other platform other than the platforms that we support in order to make that kind of deal work for us. Whatever that means, right? Like,
And he
you
literally
couldn't
said,
go through
whatever
without throwing
means.
that in at the end,
He
you know?
said, "Fuck Nintendo, boy."
Well, he said later, he's like, listen, we cannot get these Xbox Series X games to run on the Switch. Okay, everybody. If Nintendo wants us to be on their system, he basically all but said, you're going to have to get Game Pass and xCloud working. Like,
We're gonna buy Nintendo. That's what
we're
he said.
gonna
That's
buy
the next step.
Nintendo. And then Sony's going to buy Microsoft.
Wow.
No, that's how it happens.
Then Apple's gonna buy Sony.
Just that easy.
There we
That's
go.
that easy.
Moose warned us about this a month ago, you
Gonna
know?
buy Apple.
Yeah, so that's that. That is, what is there any other news for the week that I'm forgetting?
Almost certainly not.
Almost. Oh, there was a fun thing.
Go on.
Free right now. You can't pay for ask for a better price. Sega, for his 60th birthday, put a bunch of free games just up to play on PC. There's a Streets of Rage cross Yakuza game,
Mhm.
right?
Say the name of it.
Streets of Kamurocho.
Oh, damn. That's too easy for you.
I've heard the word Kamurocho said a lot through playing Yakuza. And then a weird like piece of history. So there was a Golden Axe game that was announced a decade ago called Golden Axe Reborn, right? And it got canned. And so they said, we found it. We've got the vertical slice of like a single level, but you can play this canceled game. It's just out now for free.
It's just one level.
Weird.
Yeah, and I mean it looks bad. It does not
It
play
does look
well,
bad. Yeah.
but it's a neat little novelty thing, right? And then a few other things as well. There's a Fantasy Zone type thing. There's an Army of Heroes type thing, right? So
All their games on Steam right now, they've redone the box art to look like old Sega console like boxes. So there's like they look like Game Gear or Sega Saturn or Genesis or Master System box arts. It's really random. Also, Sonic 2 is free and
Nights into Dreams
right
is
now
too.
on Steam. Yeah, there's just a whole bunch and a ton of sales going on. Like
Yeah.
you can buy like I purchased Jet Grind Radio for like $1 and change. There's just a ton of sales for Sega games on right now. Happy birthday, Sega! We love you.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was happening, but they did it. That's cool. They threw enough of a party to where you felt it, you know. So yeah, that is the news for this week. But you know, come on, I'm done. You know, playing footsie with it. We're about to do the list.
The list.
Follow along in the pace bin below as every week we add a game to an ever-growing list of over 200 and I haven't looked.
219.
Well, okay, 19. I was going to try to guess, but 219
I'm sorry.
games. It's fine. I would have gotten it wrong almost certainly. But last week, Brandon, did you bring a game?
I sure did.
What'd you bring, Brandon?
I don't know.
Uncharted 2 Among Thieves at 35.
There you go.
This week, I'm bringing a game.
What about is it Muzzy bringing a game or no?
No.
Oh, he already added his.
Yeah. He's up to date.
I'm all fucked up here.
It's Will time.
Will time.
Yeah.
And I was thinking
Willing
about
time.
launch games because we're talking about launch so much, you know. I think I want to add a Xbox 360 launch game. That being, or launch window, whatever. It's close enough. Dead Rising for the Xbox 360. Frank
It's
West.
It's October. It's October right now. You know?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Look
So
at that theming.
theming. Dead Rising, if you don't know, is a open. Is open world the right word to use? Kinda. Yeah, it's open. It's open. Zombie
Yeah.
Sandbox.
I think sandbox is a better word. Sandbox.
Yeah.
Sandbox is a better word.
Yeah. Zombie survival game, right? Though it leans less on like, ooh, can you survive the apocalypse? More like, hey, you want to have fun in the mall from Dawn of the Dead? Because that's what it's based off at the very beginning. They're like,
Do you
Well,
just want to
no.
beat the shit out of zombies?
Yeah.
The box art, the cover of the game made it clear that has no relation to George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead.
And the first thing you see when you start up the game is the same morning.
They had to put that on there, I think. As
to avoid getting in legal trouble.
Oh my god.
But the thing that this game allowed, right, was I mean, there was Dynasty Warriors before it, right? But this whole thing was, look how many zombies we can have in an area at a time, right?
Mhm.
And look at how many things you can interact with in the environment, right? Because the whole thing is almost everything is a weapon in Dead Rising, even though most of it shouldn't be a weapon, right? And so I think that, like, that's one of its strongest suits, is just the playful nature of it, right? Like, it's a funny game. I laugh a lot playing Dead Rising, right? And part of that is the story doesn't take itself seriously. Frank West is a very funny sort of, like, I covered wars, kind of like dude, the stuck in the middle of all this.
Yeah.
And I think that helps create sort of this, like, almost, I don't know if parody is the right word, right? But, like, very tongue-in-cheek vibe to all of it,
Yeah, it's goofy.
Yeah.
It has fun with the whole trope.
Yeah. And I think that they sort of, afterwards, they kept getting it slowly and slowly more serious as it goes on, right?
Yeah.
But I think
it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
Because yes and no.
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden there's Dead Rising 4 that has, like, Dead Rising 4 Super Ultra Mini Golf Tournament Edition.
Yeah, the
It's like
DLC is especially, yeah.
It just gets wild. It just runs with it. Yeah,
It's like here you can combine a machine gun and a teddy bear to shoot stuff, but also your child's dying of the zombie virus, and you're like, well,
yeah.
These feel like they're clashing. But anyways, on Dead Rising 1, the biggest problem I would say with it is the save system is incredibly weird.
It's very odd. Yeah, it's very awkward. I will say that.
It's almost a roguelike in a lot of ways, right? Like where sort of you can have saves, but if you load from your save basically erases, right? And so it sort of is this thing of, like, if you die, it's very easy to just have to restart the game, which could work, except for the fact that Dead Rising is a game that's too long for that type of structure to work, like. That's the part where it clashes, right? And then there's a lot of rough edges and jank, I would say, to Dead Rising, right? There's a lot of escort missions that you have to guide someone through the mall.
Yeah, that's my next biggest issue.
Yeah,
so, I mean, and that's probably bigger than the save points for me. Is the AI?
Yeah,
is just god awful,
incredibly dumb.
They're real bad. It makes the escort missions about 1 million times harder than they have to be.
Yeah,
which they fixed on previous and later entries into the series. And the first one was incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, and so I think
not smart.
Yeah, one of the strong points, though, besides, like I said, the whole just like, hey, I do think that the restarting thing does sort of help. Well, I guess the other problem you could have is everything's timed. Everything's on a timer, right? Because the clock's always moving, and in universe, Frank only has like 7 days, I think it is, right?
Yeah, it's like it's kind of Pikmin-like in that sense.
And so that's sort of where the, like, restart aspect comes into play most strongly. Is once you sort of know where everything is, you know where good items are, you sort of know how to go more and more efficiently through this run, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And a big part of that
playability there.
A big part of that is also the psychopath battles, which are, like, fun because they feel very dynamic in terms of, like, you just can be exploring around and just find, oh, here's a evil crazy clown that's, like, running this, like, these like amusement park attractions, but is killing people with them, right?
It's got the best weapons in the game. Those double mini chainsaws. I will die by those.
Yeah.
And so, like, all that, those are things that, like, are clearly taken from the genre, but I think are very well implemented in terms of the sandbox structure of the game, right?
Yeah, the psychopaths battles are my favorite thing in that game.
They are definitely a highlight of that game, for sure, yeah.
Do we have any other larger thoughts on Dead Rising?
It was really, honestly, when it first came out, it was, I think it had a lot of people talking. People were talking about this game because it really pushed at the time. It was like a launch window game because it was like, here's what next gen can do. Look at all the zombies we can put on the screen at one time. That was the whole selling point almost of the game. It's just, we can put a shitload of zombies on the screen at once. And then they were like, hey, let's make a Wii version of this game, and we're going to fuck that shit up.
Because we can't do any of those next-gen things on the Wii.
Yeah, the Wii version of the game, by the way, do not.
Chop till you drop.
Chop till you drop. It's only if you're like Uncle Derek type of person, stop skeletons from fighting, shout out. But like, if you're that kind of person who likes dumb shit, like unnecessary ports, yes. Other than that, do not play that version of that game. The 360 version.
They did a remaster of Dead Rising 1 for current gen, right?
I don't think so.
Or was it 2? I know they definitely ported 2, but I don't know if they ported 1. Either way.
I don't think they ported 1, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest compliment I can give the game is, like, I would just load it up just to, like, kill zombies, right? Like,
yeah, it's fun.
When nighttime would come around, you would get in, like, the car and just drive around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's also...
Yeah.
It's also funny, because we talked earlier about, like, people putting effort into achievements or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are some dumb achievements in Dead Rising.
That game set off a long-running joke for zombie video games that I think is still going to this day. It had the kill like X amount of zombies. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I think it was like a million or something.
It was the population of the town.
That was the population.
That was on the sign at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
Killed that exact number of zombies, and then Left 4 Dead came out and did that like +1. And then all these zombie games kept coming out and like just +1ing it, like being like, no, we're the zombie game that has the most zombies to kill achievement. Even like Dead Rising 2 tried to outdo like Left 4 Dead, and Left 4 Dead 2 tried to outdo. It was just ridiculous. But yeah, that's a funny thing that happened from this game.
I mean,
and I did you mention just how fun it is, like that so many stupid things can be picked up and used, like
yes.
Just so many dumb things. And
the Mega Man Mega Buster,
Capcom,
very funny.
Yeah, Capcom references out your ass too, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is great.
So yeah.
I mean,
Dead Rising.
That's kind of like what you summarized is what I've been feeling about this game in particular, where it's like my feelings are quite polarized, whereas like the fun parts are really, really fun, but the frustrating parts are kind of really fucking frustrating. Such as like the escort stuff and the mission structure, etc. But the psychopaths, the zombies, the murder, and the mixture of like, oh, you can fucking build this lightsaber for whatever reason, or something.
That's the second game.
Oh, is that the second game? Oh shit.
The second game lets you.
They have fake lightsabers though.
The first game does.
You just bonk them on the head, and they're like, "What? What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess where do I want to put it on the list? Sorry if I interrupted you there, Saf.
No, that was just about it. Yeah.
Let me just tell you where it was on the old list. It was above TMNT 4, above Illusion of Gaia, above SteamWorld Dig, above Einhander, above Undertale.
Oh my god!
Wow.
I love that list.
Above Hotline Miami, above Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Oh, man, what the fuck were y'all on?
I love that list.
Well, now I'm terrified. So,
What have you done?
Mostly you were part of that list. What the fuck?
But I didn't fucking. I didn't play Dead Rising, so my hands are clean of that.
Same.
You into this?
My hands are clean.
Me and Il's hands are clean of that shit.
So where do I want to put it though?
Noah and Saf were right.
How will I offend you now rather than back then?
Let's stick to the old list. Let's put it above.
Yeah, let's put it above Undertale. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's put it above Undertale.
This might be weird because maybe it's just in my brain. So I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at number 88, which is right below Stardew, but above GTA 4. Because I think that GTA 4 has a lot of similar strong suits of Dead Rising, right? Which is, look at this next gen thing, right? Like open world that's fun to explore or whatever, right? Except for in GTA, a lot of it isn't fun to explore because a lot of it controls very poorly, right?
Isn't this game jank incarnate though?
I haven't played this game. I mean, I played this game for like 5 minutes, but I have a counter query.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about Bulletstorm compared to this game?
Where is Bulletstorm?
159.
That's a huge jump. I like Dead Rising more than Bulletstorm.
I
You like it 60 spots more than Bulletstorm?
I think the problem is Bulletstorm probably needs to go up.
I think. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
That's true too.
I like Danganronpa more than Dead Rising.
Danganronpa.
Danganronpa is
in that same general
92.
area that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Like I would
Where's
put it below-
Danganronpa? 92.
Yeah.
Do you like it more than Bravely Default?
Yes.
You know, I would say so. Personally, yeah.
You said probably not. Hold on.
Wait, what?
First you said probably not, and then now you're shifting.
Yeah, no,
What are
like
you
probably
talking about? What
not.
the man thinks?
But like personally, yeah. Like it's one of those situations where it's like
Huh?
you and
What?
it's like you and Kid Icarus. Like you understand the criticism and the hatred, but personally you had a lot more joy out of it than other people.
But you
Yeah.
can just want to put Bravely, below Bravely Default. That's fine.
But you said the reverse of that.
What are you
Never
talking about?
I
Never
think this is misspoke. No, just forget it. Okay, yeah, okay.
I-
But I think if you liked Bravely Default more than Dead Rising, that doesn't make it invalid. I
Yeah,
don't
you
think
can just put it below Bravely Default. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm just hedging my bets, to be honest with you.
No, there's no need, Sam.
But you're one of three people.
You
No,
should
because like
not-
there's already clear establishment that
No, there's
I
no
like
clear.
Bravely Default.
Voice your thoughts, Saf. There's no need to don't feel peer pressure to fucking put it where you don't feel comfortable. Okay, if you want it below Bravely, we say so. Okay.
Go out and vote.
Don't
You
be
know-
afraid that we'll tell you. Don't be afraid of us telling you that you're a stupid idiot if you say something crazy.
You know what, you're right, Massey. Which is something I never thought I'd say. Let's put it
We're putting it in hell.
below Bravely Default.
I'm fine with that,
Wow,
honestly.
what a jump! I haven't played Bravely Default, so I have really no say on that, honestly. But
I mean, thinking about the stuff that Bravely Default did, I think it's fine to put it below it. I'm fine with that.
Is it
But
better than Little Nightmares?
yeah,
All right.
look, I have this thing with Dead Rising. Like, I know it's got some frustrating parts in it for sure, but I just
it's better than the sum of its parts. Sorry, I interrupted you, but yeah.
And there's there's obviously this nostalgia part of me. Like, I love that game a lot because it's one of those things. It's been out for a long time, right? And I look back at it and I have a lot of fond memories. And I have some memories where I was frustrated, but it's just overall, yeah. I mean, I had a lot of fun just fucking shit up, regardless of the issues that I had with it.
The picture taking is very good.
It is. The humor is honestly, I think it's spot on in that game. I think it honestly, it's not. It's hard to explain. I just think it's aged well. I think it's a type of humor that's aged well, just because it's not a humor that's like in a point in time. It's not like raunchy humor. It's not. I just think it's overall like just fun, funny kind of humor. So
A lot of the humor comes from the play, right? Which I think is when game humor goes well, right? It's just when the act of playing the thing makes you laugh.
Yeah, here's a man wearing a cone on his head, like with a big teddy bear, and he's whacking hordes of like realistic, disgusting looking zombies. He's with like a carnival sized teddy bear just whacking zombies around. It's silly. It's fun. I like it.
Do you want it above or below TMNT Force F?
I would
I'd
say at
above
least
for
above.
me. I know
Yeah.
you didn't
Above
say Brandon, but
Okay. I'm fine with that. So at 94 on the list, Dead Rising. There it is. Surrounding it at 92.
Drop.
Danganronpa, Trigger, Happy Havoc at 93, Bravely Default 94, Dead Rising 95, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time 96, Uncharted, Drake's Fortune. Now, whenever we put put the game on the list, we put the person that added its name next to it. So as Els was typing that, I read that as Dead Rising Wii at first, and I was like, "This is not the version we're adding." But no,
That's my
Till you
favorite
drop,
version.
baby.
definitive version. Drop till you drop.
You are the Wii.
I am the Wii. That is the list. That is the podcast for this week. Someone take the phrase. Someone take the plugs.
I'll do the plugs.
I was gone for the last 2 weeks, so you let me have it. Okay?
Selfless.
Saf,
Yeah, you-
Saf gets the phrase.
Okay, well, I'm plugging. You guys figure that out while I'm plugging. But
I'll take the first.
Hey, all right. So hey, if you had a good time listening to the Jump Up Supercast, make sure you check us out on your favorite podcast listening service of your choice, whatever that may be, except for Spotify. But you can check us out on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. New episodes go up every single Monday, and we also have another show called the Jump Up Supercast Game Club. And new episodes of that go up every other Thursday. Now the game club's like a book club, but for video games instead. And we recently played Little Nightmares, and that episode just came out. And we have an episode coming out pretty soon here where we're going to talk about Mega Man X Command Mission. And if you have a game that you say, man, I want these guys to play, we do have a Patreon. And for $1 a month, you get a chance to choose one of our Game Club games every round. And that's coming up next round right after we're done playing Mega Man. So if you want to get on it fast. We also let you join our Discord server where we talk about games and have really dumb opinions about Legacy in the list. I'm not saying who's dumb and who's not. But, you make that decision.
It's a pretty shit way of framing that. But okay.
So you can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, where you can stay up to date on everything Jump Up Supercast related when the episodes go up, when we're streaming, because we do stream on twitch.tv/JumpUpSupercast, where Muzzy just beat Super Mario 64. Congratulations, Muzzy.
Thank you. Woo! And the archives are on YouTube, by the way, if you want to check it out.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Courtesy of Ills. But,
Wow.
yeah, and that's just the beginning. We have I'm playing 10 more Mario games in the next 5 months. So
it's a lot of Mario.
Yeah. Come
yeah, so we also played the original Super Mario Brothers with that archives also up on.
You'll also get a sneak peek at the end there how much of a shitstorm it's going to be when we add Mario 64 to the list. So we're checking out. You should listen to the end of that stream.
If you want to hear us be assholes to each other, just watch the whole thing.
It gets nasty. Not gonna lie, we get nasty in our streams sometimes to each other, and sometimes in the chat too. To be honest, we should be nice. We're not doing a good job selling you on this, but
if you want to see After Dark, Jump Up Supercast.
Yeah, there we go. That's the way to phrase it.
I swear to God, we do love each other, but we don't. It's like it's like a family. You be mean to each other, but
we love each other, but small doses.
We're all we have. But anyway, yeah, and I play Fall Guys sometimes, and we play some multiplayer games. So check us out, twitch.tv/JumpUpSupercast. We'd appreciate that. I think that's all I got to say for the plugs. Thank you guys for listening. And Saf, why don't you take us out with whatever your final phrase is going to be?
So, I was at a different view of the list, but today I learned that it's all about feelings and what you feel is true to yourself and where the game belongs on the list. So that's why next re-rank I'm going to put Ocarina of Time 10 places below, probably around the Animal Crossing territory.
Oh.
God bless you.
You're stupid.
Yeah, I'm in.